We are back. Today, we're going to be talking about the results of the Victory Road January Challenge. There's going to be another one literally like this weekend. It's crazy. But this is a pretty big Regulation G tournament that happened over the weekend. I just want to go over the results of it, talk about the restricted usage, and yeah, I mean, like, this is going to be kind of interesting because one thing I can tell you about this tournament is that it really solidified that even though we're like coming back to Regulation G after a couple of months, we're not going to be coming back to a Regulation G like we started it at the beginning of the format last year. We're coming back to a pretty developed Regulation G metagame. There's a lot of stuff here that sort of points towards the metagame sort of condensing and not really being as open. But it is all pretty interesting as far as the team building front goes. There's a few things that I think are worth pointing out. So yeah, if you guys enjoy this at any point in time, do me a favor, leave a like in the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn notifications, and let's go into a little gamer subs ad, and then we'll be right back with more stuff to talk about. This channel is partnered with Gamersubs. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order Gamersubs through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. Gamersubs is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. All right, so this tournament was won by Tamayuki Yoshimura, and of course, you know, as you can tell by the thumbnail, it was a Zamazenta team. Now, Zamazenta Chenpao is something that we have seen pretty consistently in the metagame. One of its like biggest performances was obviously that regional win by MDB. Obviously, people are going to ask. I have to clarify this every time I talk about this duo, but Zamazenta is a Pokemon with the ability Dauntless Shield, and it likes to use the move Body Press to attack. Body Press uses your defense stat to attack, and of course, Dauntless Shield raises your defense stat by 1 stage the first time Zamazenta hits the field, right? Chenpao is a Pokemon with the ability Sword of Ruin. Sword of Ruin lowers everything's defense stat when Chenpao is active on the field. You might think that this would lower the damage output of Body Press, but it actually just makes it stronger. The reason for this is it only checks for Sword of Ruin after, or like when you're about to deal damage. And Zamazenta, when you use Body Press, it switches the defense stat to the attack stat before Sword of Ruin happens. So it actually just makes Body Press hit like a truck. Now, Zamazenta is able to take advantage of Chenpao much better than many other Pokemon because its type synergizes quite well. While it doesn't resist fairy types, it is a part steel type, meaning that it's able to check opponents' Flutter Mane with Heavy Slam and stuff, and Body Press just deals significant damage to everything across the board. Like, a Rillaboom does not want to switch in on a +1 Body Press from Zamazenta with Sword of Ruin active. Like, it is going to get 2-shot. Most things are going to get 2-shot. It is a ridiculous amount of damage, but this team does have a few staples of the format. We do see the Scarf Chi-Yu with a Booster Energy Icy Wind Flutter Mane, and of course we have Assault Vest Terrifier, Rillaboom, and Rocky Helmet Amoonguss. Overall, there isn't too much notable about this team. I think that this is more or less just a Zamazenta Chenpao Good Stuff's team. Rocky Helmet Amoonguss is obviously able to Rage Powder opposing Urshifu Rapid Strike into it, allowing for them to take massive chip damage from 3 ticks of Rocky Helmet. And that's important because Zamazenta, while it does have the Dragon typing for its Terra, it's not going to want to have to burn that Dragon typing every game just to like not get not one shot, but like not to take a ton of damage from like Mystic Water Urshifu. Since Urshifu Surging Strikes crit, it doesn't care about Zamazenta's defense boosts, and of course with Chenpao in the field, it's going to deal even more damage to Zamazenta. So yeah, that is pretty significant. Rillaboom's also a pretty decent check to opposing Urshifu Rapid Strike, but I would argue that Rillaboom's main purpose on this team isn't really to deal with Urshifu Rapid Strike. It's actually more for the Miraidon matchup. Since Miraidon is so powerful, you're going to be able to get rid of that terrain, allowing for Zamazenta to not have to take a ton of damage from, well, it's still going to take a ton of damage because it's Miraidon, but it's not going to have to take the Hadron Engine boosted, Electric Terrain boosted Electro Drift or Volt Switch as long as Rillaboom's on the field. So being able to position Rillaboom well is really important for that matchup. And yeah, beyond that, you know, Chi-Yu Flutter Mane, they do their thing. You're able to outspeed opposing Calyrex Shadow with the Scarf Chi-Yu, or you can just slow them down with the Flutter Mane, and, you know, Flutter Mane, Icy Wind plus Heavy Slam Zamazenta. That's pretty decent damage into a lot of things. So, yeah. In second place, of course, we do see the team. I like to refer to this as the Regulation G team, which is Cali Shadow balance stuff. So, We have Spell Tag Cali Shadow with Terra Normal, Nasty Plot. Of course, Terra Normal is really good into the opposing Cali Shadow matchup and into the opposing Fluttermane matchup, since it's going to make it easier to go for Nasty Plot. You're just going to probably burn a Terra to not get hit by Shadow Ball or Astral Barrage. And then next, of course, you have the Focus Sash Urshifu. We have Life Orb Raging Bolt. Rocky Helmet, Incineroar. You know, Rocky Helmet is a good option on Incineroar. I mean, like, if you Terra Ghost, you're not gonna like worry too much about the Surging Strikes. But also, Terra Ghost is really nice for not getting hit by a close combat or collision course by Koraidon. But you tend to see like safety goggles or citrus berry on these guys. It's actually kind of interesting. This team has no safety goggles or citrus berry. It does have 2 grass types, so there isn't really a need for the safety goggles. But like Incineroar not having the citrus berry is kind of an interesting choice. I guess Rocky Helmet is important for certain matchups like breaking sashes on that Urshifu, like I had mentioned previously, and even into Chien-Pao. Some Chien-Pao are running like Ice Spinner instead of Icicle Crash because it's better into the Miraidon. But yeah, this team, I mean, like, there's not much to talk about. It is the team. So, yeah, beyond that, of course, we do see some more Zamazenta and Chien-Pao. I figured this would be, like, the #1 team coming into the format. I mean, Zamazenta Chien-Pao is just such a, like... It's not easy to pilot, I would say, but it is like a much more like straightforward strategy. You just like take your KOs with the Zamazenta. And Zamazenta is like such a bulky Pokemon that like it does leave you decent room for error on like other restricteds. Like if you're using a Miraidon and you like get like called out turn 1 and you don't Terra Electric and you get like caught by a Moonblast, you might lose your Miraidon. Where with Zamazenta, it's pretty hard to end up in a position where Zamazenta is going to get one shot by anything. Like the only thing I can think about is like Scarf Chi-Yu with like Overheat, and like that's basically it. So yeah, this version of the team is a little less bouncy, a little more offensive. I mean, like Choice Scarf, Final Gambit, coaching Annihilate is pretty cool because you're going to be able to boost the Zamazenta's attack and defense, as well as like Pokemon like Ogerpon, Rillaboom, and Chien-Pao. But also into like Trick Room matchups, you can just take like the Pokemon from them with the Final Gambit. So I actually quite like this version of the team. I think it's pretty interesting. Next up, of course, we have the team that won Worlds. It is the Worlds team. We see our Assault Vest, Terra Bug, Iron Hands, our Ogerpon Hearthflame, our Choice Specs, Terra Fairy Miraidon, Covert Cloak, Light Screen, Encore Tailwind, Moonblast, Whimsicott. We have our Focus Sash Urshifu, and we have Farigiraf. Actually, was the Worlds team Dark Urshifu? I thought it was Water Urshifu. I might be stupid. I'm forgetting right now, but yeah, that is like the basic comp. That we saw one World. So our top 4 is honestly like a top 4 that I am not surprised to see. I thought we might see one Cali Ice, but at the moment Cali Ice isn't doing quite as well because of the amount of Zamazenta running around. I'll tell you what's one thing we can take a look at. It's Groudon. Now, Groudon isn't actually like a top tier restricted, but getting top 8 in the VR Tour is pretty notable. And I think the reason that Groudon made it this far is because Groudon doesn't have a bad matchup into Pokemon like Cali Shadow. It doesn't have a bad matchup into Pokemon like Zamazenta, and it has a great matchup into Miraidon. So at the moment, in this very moment, because of a lack of Cali Ice and an excess of Miraidon, Groudon actually isn't a bad pick. Whether that remains to be the case, we have to like wait and see. But for now, Groudon is very interesting. Now, this is a team that I believe Joe Ugarte also ran in like a recent tournament, but Jumpluff is a recent adaptation on the Groudon archetype, and that's because people have realized that Jumpluff in Generation 9 is just kind of that guy. It just kind of has every tool it needs to be annoying, and like it doesn't need to run like an offensive attack to or an offensive move just to like get things done game to game. We see Jumpluff with the Covert Cloak, Terra Dark, Sleep Powder, Rage Powder, Encore, and Tailwind. Obviously, Tailwind is going to be able to support Pokemon like that Focus Sash Urshifu Dark, that Raging Bolt, and of course the Clear Amulet Terrafire Groudon. Bulk Up is pretty cool. I do like that into Zamazenta. That is very nice because you're going to be able to make sure you're taking less damage across the board. And when you have like a threat like Groudon where it has like +1 attack and it has like Tailwind active, there are going to be turns where the opponent has to protect to stall out your Tailwind or whatever position they're in that's like not great for them. And that's going to allow Jumpluff to actually take full advantage of that by locking them down with Encore. Rage Powder is also quite nice since Jumpluff's able to eat Surging Strikes very well in Sun. And yeah, I mean, like, it's also just like a Sleep Powder bot. If you love gambling, this is the team for you. Raging Bolt also has great synergy with Groudon because it is Photosynthesis Mon. That Assault Vest Terra Water set is going to be very good defensively into a lot of Pokemon. And Electro Web provides great speed control. Thunderbolt is going to be good damage output in the Sun. We have Draco Meteor and Thunderclap as well. And once again, we do see our Rocky Helmet Incineroar. Now, if you ask me, I think that like the standout thing about this tournament is one thing. There was only one Terrapagos in day 2, right? And it's like standard Terrapagos. Well, not super standard. I mean, like Terrapagos is there isn't really a standard Terrapagos in my opinion. It's literally like Terrapagos has a few sets. Like there's the spec set with like Grimmsnarl and stuff, and then there's like the Balancy set with like Calm Mind, Terrastar, Storm Substitute. But like this is that one, right? But what I noticed is this tournament seems to be the tournament of Dondozo. While Dondozo didn't make it past top 8, or make it into top 8 even, there were a lot of Dondozo in top 16, or rather just top cut generally, because there is not a 16th person in top cut. But yeah, taking a look at what we have here, there's a few archetypes, or there's like 2 archetypes that we can take a look at. I want to look at the Miraidon one first, and then we'll look at like the Kali Shadow Weezing one, because Kali Shadow Weezing is one that's been known for a little bit. But the Miraidon version, it plays exactly how you think it does. You play this like you would play like Chi-Yu Flutter Dondozo in Regulation C, right? You lead off with like your hit hard, ask questions later Pokemon, your Choice Band, multi-skill Dragonite, your Assault Vest, Miraidon, your Chi-Yu, your Choice Specs Golden Go. You take as many KOs as possible. You probably deal with their restricted Pokemon, depending on what it is. Like if it's Zamazenta, you can like deal with the Pokemon around it that actually hit Dondozo for hard, or for like quite a bit of damage. But once you like get rid of that, then it's just like Dondozo WinCon. Like it's exactly what it looks like in the box. But the interesting one is this one. It is the Kali Shadow and Weezing version. So this team's been going around. The reason this is interesting is because where in like Regulation C you would see like Glamora Dondozo, this actually uses Galarian Weezing with Covert Cloak, Strange Steam, Poison Gas, Toxic Spikes, and Protect. The reason for that is Kali Shadow synergizes really, really well with Galarian Weezing, since it's going to be able to turn off all the opponent's abilities. That means no Aurok Pulse, that means no Hadron Engine, but Kali Shadow still gets as 1 because it ignores that, and you're going to be able to deal massive damage to everything with your Astral Barrage. And because Kali Shadow is a Pokemon that requires like your full attention at all times during the game, Weezing is going to be able to go for those Toxic Spikes and then like Poison Gas and just get everything on the field taking chip damage. And then Kali Shadow is going to be able to pick up KOs on Pokemon that have taken like 2-3 turns of Poison Chip, since it just has that insane damage output. And then from there, you play your Dondozo WinCon like you would. Like it's the Body Press Order Up Earthquake set. Obviously like defensive order up is pretty good right now, because like offensive order up into like restricteds, you're not dealing a lot of damage. The defensive order up making it so like you get the defense boost, and then you can just go for body press, make it better into stuff like Zamazenta, of course. It makes it better into stuff like Groudon. It makes it better into other just physical restricteds like Koraidon. The special restricteds are the issue, but obviously, you know, you have Roaring Moon there, which is going to be an excellent check into Kali Shadow. You have the Galarian Weezing and Kali Shadow, which is really, really good into like Miraidon and Miraidon and Whimsicott leads, and you're just gonna be able to just take out the Pokemon that checks Dondozo and then win from there. It's like, once again, it's just like the WinCon play strategy where it's like, okay, here's my Pokemon that beats you, let me get rid of your Pokemon that beats my Pokemon. It's like the most basic way to play the game. And then, of course, we have Francesco here, which has a pretty cool team. Usually you see Regidrago paired with, like, Zacian or something, but, I mean, like, with the format being in the place it is, Zacian isn't as good as it was previously, and it wasn't ever like the best Pokemon, but it was still notable. This version is literally just like Kali Shadow, Tailwind, Hyper Offense. Of course, you have Expanding Force with the Life Orb, Astral Barrage, you have your Tailwind Whimsicott, and you have your Indeedee to, like, make sure you're blocking priority moves. From that point, like if you have Tailwind active, Regidrago with Dragon's Fang is going to be dealing massive damage with Dragon Energy, Draco Meteor, and Terra Steel, Terra Blast if it has to counter a Fairy type. And yeah, another notable thing is like we see a lot of Ogerpon Cornerstone here and there. It's just like it's a solid Pokemon right now. Like it's good on Kali Shadow because it's like a more offensive alternative to Clefairy. You still have your redirection. You still have like a grass type next to it, like, you know, if it were a Rillaboom, and that's like just really solid in like spore options or like sleep powder Pokemon like Jumpluff, because you're going to rage powder it away, or not rage powder, you're going to follow me away rather than rage powder, since grass types are immune to rage powder. So it's just like a really cool Pokemon. I think that like Ogerpon might be one of the best it might be like Ogerpon, I can't speak. Ogerpon Cornerstone, I think, is like one of the best Ogerpon forms in Restricted. And we actually, I don't believe we see like any Wellspring. Yeah, like there's like no Wellspring, which is really interesting. And that's more of a testament to like the fall off of Pokemon like Kyogre, and like just the fact that the format's getting more like centralized. We're not seeing like niche picks that Ogerpon Wellspring does good into, like random Palkias, random Dialgas, and like Zacians and stuff. So yeah, as far as like usage goes, this is the part that I find really interesting. Obviously, you know, our day one usage is going to be pretty diverse across the board, but we didn't have a ton of restricteds. Like, all things considered, there weren't a lot of fringe picks, and that's because it's the VR tour. A lot of people want to win it. There was only one person brave enough to choose something that no one else did, which was the Eternatus player. And I'm not sure where the Eternatus player ended up. I don't think it was in top 64, which means I don't know where to find it. But beyond that, like, we had 5 Groudon, 7 Zacian, 17 Koraidon, 27 Kyogre, which I think is very brave. Look, as someone who played Kyogre for a while, you couldn't pay me to play Kyogre for like the next year. I think there was one Kyogre in top 64, it looks like. Oh, two Kyogres in top 64, and it's just like Kyogre balance, like the most like bog standard Kyogre you could like think of. And then that was it. Like 27 Kyogre, only 2 of them made it into top 64, and 1 of them made it into top cut. Koraidon, 17 of them, right? There were 17 Koraidon. How many of them were in top 64? Oh my god. Were there no Koraidon in top... Oh, sorry, top 40. My bad. There were 0 Koraidon in day 2. I guess I could just read it. It literally tells you. Yeah. So you can see the conversion rate's kind of crazy. Like, no Eternatus conversion rate, no Zacian conversion rate, no Koraidon conversion rate, just a little bit Kyogre, and then the rest of them had a pretty decent conversion rate. I think like one of the worst conversion rates we see is Terapagos to, as far as like the Pokemon that like did make top cut, I think it's Terapagos to from day 1 to day 2, it's 13 to 10, 16 to 18, 23 to 33. That's so crazy. Like, that you can see like these are Pokemon where like they perform better than they have representation, right? So Calyrex Shadow went from 23 to 33, Zamazenta went from 16 to 18, Terapagos went from 13 to 10, Miraidon went from 13 to 18. So these are why these are like your S tier Pokemon, your like A tier Pokemon as well, because like they literally do better than they have representation. Calyrex Ice as well. Like, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are like usually like these 5 Pokemon are usually the ones that you see like at A or S tier on like most people's tier lists. I put Terapagos at A tier. I still, or not A tier. I put Terapagos at S tier. I still stand by that being the case. I just don't think that it's like currently the time for it. It could be like it takes a couple of adjustments in the format where maybe like Zamazenta falls off for a little bit. It's really like the overabundance of Zamazenta is making Pagos very difficult. But like once Zamazenta sort of falls off, like if we see a lot more like Calyrex Shadow or like a lot more Miraidon to deal with it, it's gonna be a lot better. And yeah, Calyrex Ice did absolutely horrible in this tournament, all things considered. Just like, how do I say it? Like, it isn't absolutely horrible, but like, I don't know why I said absolutely, right? But like the fact that there was only 1 of them in top cut is kind of crazy considering how strong that Pokemon tends to be. Like, it is one of the more established archetypes. So yeah, I do have to say the thing that we say on YouTube whenever a Pokemon does bad, fraud alert, fraud alert, fraud alert, fraud alert, fraud alert, goat alert. I don't know. Anyways, I just want to talk about this real quick, just get my thoughts out there. It was a pretty interesting tournament. You know, 288 players isn't an insignificant amount, but yeah. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.